is an overcast day if you cannot tell, so I'm sorry that the lighting is not the usual, but it's supposed to storm all day. And I have a lot of recording to do, so we're just gonna roll with it because, as you might have guessed, I'm recording a lot of these like a month prior because I'm trying to get ahead on the book reviews. And so it's again snowing. Over it. It's currently April and snowing. Anywho, welcome back for another book review. Today we are talking about this little one. So this is the Essential Book of Wicca, Powerful Practices from the Magical Craft by Marie Bruce. So I had never heard of this book. Once again, this is part of the I spam ordered from the library on the like first page of results and just was like, yeah. So I did not do any research into this. So this book definitely is like trendy witch. Is it the worst of the trendy books? No. It does have like your basic information, but there wasn't really any depth to it. And honestly, a lot of these books, I'm starting to notice, they all kind of fit into the same category where it's the basic information regurgitated over and over and over, except as it's getting regurgitated, less and less of the details are continuing, and it's becoming this assumption that everyone knows. And it's kind of annoying, because I just finished reading Wicca Guide from the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. That book talks about pretty much the exact same things as this book, but in more detail than this book. And the way this one kind of came across is a much more casual version of like an interview, where if you were, you know, getting interviewed by somebody who wasn't in the craft and you were asked, what is blank? And you would have time to answer within like a 5-minute time span of briefly explaining everything, but not going into any depth or any nuance with it. That's how this entire book reads. And to be honest, the entire like literary world of Wicca is overly saturated with this kind of content. It is easy to write, there's a lot of content already out there, and unless you're adding something new, it's kind of like, what's the point? And it's, I feel like a little different if you're kind of giving like very specifics of like how to learn as if they were learning from you. But the basic books have already been there, done that so many times. Maybe I'm getting burnt out having read so many of them, but there are better ones out there. Is this the worst one? No. But it doesn't really do anything. It's just like as if you had Googled the information, you'd get basically the same results. And even then, if you went onto YouTube and searched some of this stuff, there's a lot of videos that would explain it a lot more than this book. So it was just kind of weird in that way where it's just not adding anything. Like it wasn't like terribly bad, but it was just like, what's the point in this book even existing? There's nothing getting added to the conversation. With that said, one of my big issues with this book, where most of it was just meh, it wasn't good, but again, it usually wasn't bad. It was just, okay, it's the same stuff. You're just regurgitating what every single person has said, almost verbatim. Like, there's nothing new getting added. But one thing did stand out, and that is the author, for whatever reason, decided, without saying something along the lines of like, typically it's done this way, I do it this way, or my tradition or what I've learned does it this way. The Oak King and the Holly King battle is at the solstices, not the equinoxes, and they kind of started to use those terms a little interchangeably, which was like, that's not the same thing. The solstice happens only twice a year, the equinox only happens twice a year. And they have the Oak King and the Holly King battle then, but they're like, it's not really a battle, it's just like a passing bleh. But it was just like, but it's not. And it's fine if you want to change it. I'm cool with that. Like, that kind of makes more sense where it is the equal balance and then you shift, but that's not how it's normally done in Wicca. It is normally done at the solstices. Summer solstice, winter solstice. Everyone's on the same page with that. I don't know where the author got off with that one. And it's a little detail, but it makes me question everything else in the book. Like, are you really a witch? Because if you're claiming Wicca, that's like kind of a Wicca 101 book typically would have that information. If you're changing it, that's fine. But as an informational book, you need to include very loudly that this is not the norm. Typically in Wiccan traditions, it is this way, not this way. And it was just a little something, but still, it kind of derailed me to be like, no. And I even double checked it. No, it's the solstices, not the equinoxes. It does not happen at Mabon and Ostara. It happens at Litha and at Yule. Other than that, though, the information was just pretty meh, like, whatever. Most of it's so generic and it's found everywhere. They did actually have a few warnings here and there, which was good, because you don't always see that. But other than that, like, there was nothing getting added to the conversation. Now, the other thing with this book that is just something that, like, a lot of the newer books are doing is, like, really colorful pages. Now, personally, I'm not, like, the world's biggest fan of that. And, like, once you do get to the regular pages, it's fine. But the photorealistic is weird. Because then you also have doodling, kind of, like, art, not pictures. And the back and forth of it, like, the art just kind of constantly, like, it was just strange. And it's not her pictures, is the other bit. Like, these are from, I think it's what's the company? It said at the beginning, like Shutterstock or something like that. Yeah. All images are from Shutterstock. So, like, I don't know. It's something small, but also I'm like, it's a little lazy, to be honest. Because I feel like if you're having witchy imagery and trying to tie it to what you're doing, pay an artist to do the work to actually go along with the text. Don't try and, like, find something from a publishing house nonetheless. Like, if it was self-published, way more credit. You have a very limited budget. Being an author myself, I know. As a publishing house, you have a budget. Why are you not paying an artist? I know why you're doing it, but you should be paying an artist to do artwork alongside this. Most of the witchy books do that. They have a dedicated artist or two for that book. And probably just for the publishing house in general. They're like, here's a project, can you do this? But, like, it's so weird to be like, I'm just gonna use these, like, stock photos. For witchcraft, nonetheless. It was just, like, it felt kind of lazy, to be honest. And again, I hold publishing houses to a higher standard than self-published. There are far more resources and money available than self-published authors. And as this is a published, like a publishing house book, I would expect better. Now granted, it is a not typically witchy one. It's Sirius? It looks like Sirius XM, so I'm assuming it's pronounced Sirius. But it's not a publishing house I have ever heard of. It's not one of the two big names, Llewellyn or Weiser. So I don't know. It did feel like they were just hopping on the trendy witchcraft thing, trendy Wicca thing, and we're trying to, like, mimic the other books where, you know, we've just colorful, pretty pages, and they're tiny to boot. This is an itty-bitty book, which, honestly, it shows that, like, your word count isn't that big, because I haven't gotten rid of this one yet. It's lived in the same spot, but, like, look at that difference in size. Like, this is a tiny, tiny book. Like, this is still thicker than this. And there are a lot of filler pages in here. And, like, I don't know. It's just, like, you have, like, full picture pages, which, honestly, I think I've seen that about 3,000 times. Like, just, you know, little stuff like that. It's just, is it the worst thing ever written? No. It's just very meh for me. Nothing in this book was revolutionary other than questioning my life of, like, I haven't ever done the Oak King, Holly King thing. Is that really for reals? Other than that, nothing in this book was new or exciting, and definitely has been covered better by other people. And I don't know, maybe some people will like this. Again, if you're a beginner, like, I mean, it's got the information. I think other people have written it better. Maybe it's just personal taste. But this, it was just, eh. Like, there was no, like, it wasn't bad. Like, I don't have a bad feeling about it. That's why I'm, like, sitting at, like, a solid 3 of just, like, I don't feel one way or the other. Just, like, dead center, like, whatever. I could take or leave it. Minus the little bit that did make me question some of the other things. And once again, as per usual, we really don't have any mention of the Norse, which is a bummer. When we talk about different deities, it's always the same group, ain't it? Every time. It's getting a little obnoxious, to be honest, how much it's just, like, a handful of the same deities every single time. But that's personal soapbox that I'm just chilling over here with that one. So anyways, I'm glad I got this from the library because I did not have to pay for this. Truly, honestly, try and check your local libraries for your witchy books. I used to say that it wasn't worth it, but like, they do have books. I currently have an entire stack that I'm trying to get through of books from the library. And so you might just have to do special searches. So do keep that in mind if you're looking for witchy books, because I cannot subject search Wicca. I've had to go publishing houses and then deep dive to find them, and then suddenly they pop up. It might be a Utah thing, you know? Don't make the witchcraft easy to find, because it is Utah. But overall, like, there's so many books available that I didn't know. And these are new, too. I think this one came out in, like, 22, I want to say. Like, they're not old books, either. There are some that are. Yeah, 2022. Not an old book. And I do have some. I think I have one currently that's, like, from the 90s. So, like, we've got a decent selection, so definitely check out your local library. I didn't think that was an option. Because witchy books can get really expensive, and unless you trust the author, like anytime I see a Deborah Blake book, I can pretty much assume I'm gonna like it, so I would just go ahead and buy it. But like this one, I haven't heard of the author, I don't know anything about their presence, anything, and so like there's not a lot of people talking about it either. I tried on Goodreads, there's like one review, and on Amazon, one review. So not a lot of people are talking about this one. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments down below. Huge thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.